Robert Davari, CEO of Tixr, thanks for being here with us today.
Thanks for having me.
So, for those who aren't familiar with Tixr, what is the business? What goal are you trying to accomplish here?
Our goal is to modernize ticketing. The premise of starting the company, we're about a decade or so old, was ticketing companies are antiquated. A lot of industry move forward. There's a lot of things to be desired in ticketing, and we wanted to build a modern solution to those things.
How does this different from, kind of the big secondary ticketing companies like StubHub, SeatGeek? Obviously, you guys have a different value proposition.
Yeah, I mean, we really sit, we sit at the intersection of being a fan-driven experience.
Yeah.
We were fans that started the company to fix the fan experience, so it's very design-centric. It's white label, so it looks like the brands. It's less about us, more about our clients. And then on the back end, we've created a lot of efficiencies for our clients. People that are, whether it's a sports team or a festival owner or an artist. For example, we've integrated primary and secondary. So, we're not StubHub, we're not SeatGeek, but we're primary at our core. So we work with the rights holders for that event. But then you can also resell your ticket in a safe way right on the same exchange.
So how wide is your client base here? You're working with all professional teams, or what does that generally look like?
Well, no, we work with everybody. We have BlizzCon is on Tixr, Riot Fest out in Chicago. So we do big festivals, big conferences. But then in sports, this year we signed the San Jose Earthquakes MLS team.
Yeah.
We ticket the Acura Grand Prix of Long Beach. So we have a really, really wide range. We do Excess Nightclub at the Wynn. What we really focus on is the best brands in a variety of categories, and then we've really built an operating system to address all of them.
Is there a particular opportunity in the sports world you're seeing in terms of like you want to be with more teams, you want to be with more kind of sports adjacent events? Like what are you looking for in the sports world?
Yeah, sports is, I'd say, our number one focus right now. So where, sports is literally the big leagues, right? So if the goal is to modernize, an industry, you have to play in the big leagues, right?
Yeah.
So the MLS is a good start. We've done quite a bit in racing. We also have leagues like the PPA. Yeah, so we're looking high and wide across teams, leagues, globally.
So in terms of the business model, is it similar kind of the other ticketing platforms, or is it fundamentally different? Is it just a matter of you use fees in order to kind of generate revenue, or are you kind of doing different things?
No, the model's similar. It's still a fee-based model, but we try to keep those fees very reasonable, obviously, and transparent. And then we try to add value, right? Create new ways of doing things. At the end of the day, the fan's getting a fair shot at getting a ticket.
So how do you get yourselves into the Super Bowl ecosystem?
I mean, we kind of fell into it years ago, right? About 8 years ago, a company called Medium Rare was formed. They do Shaq's Funhouse, SI. We were early with those guys. We knew them. They're just super sharp guys. And they started doing these events around the Super Bowl. We also had a burgeoning nightclub business and VIP events business, and they converged. And in Vegas and in Miami here, where we've become one of the leaders in doing large-scale Super Bowl events. But we focus on big, cool things, and those are probably the two key things. Really great brands that do large-scale events, and that's where we specialize.
So I got to ask you then, why are Super Bowl parties so damn expensive now?
I mean, everything is getting more expensive, right? It's a supply and demand issue.
Yeah.
This year, and I'll kind of break it to you, you guys will be the first to know, for the first time that I have seen, and I'd love someone to counteract this, we sold more tickets to parties at the Super Bowl this year than the Super Bowl itself.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, so, you guys could run the math on that, but the capacity has gone up, right? So we have a client in town, they're called NPU Live. The city of San Francisco has been a phenomenal steward of live events, especially with the new mayor coming in. They've done a really great job with the city.
Yeah.
And they green-lit a large warehouse, Pier 80, where we're doing Millennium, Calvin Harris, and T-Pain, and those are 20,000 person cap events, right? So those actually aren't very expensive, right? The entry-level point, you can get 100 or sub-$100 into those parties, right? Relatively, but then there's also a high VIP offering.
How do the economics effectively make sense? I would think you can only have a certain amount of Super Bowl parties, and then there just simply aren't enough fans in town, or you can't draw people in. But how do you make it so you can have all these parties where you can sell enough tickets to kind of exceed the amount of people going to the Super Bowl?
Yeah, well, what we've found is, especially in a city like the Bay Area, right? The community shows up. So these large-scale warehouse parties we're doing, it's a lot of local people.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people here for the Super Bowl. I mean, you got 60, 70,000 just for the game itself. Industry VIPs that want to go out and really like entertain and network and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And traditionally, a lot of the parties like the Shacks and the SIs, they're actually not that big. You're
Yeah.
talking about 5,000, 10,000 people maximum.
To what degree does the host city play a role here? Because you mentioned, San Francisco has been a good host, but I'm thinking like if it's a Vegas or a New Orleans or a city that maybe doesn't have, the same advantages that San Francisco has, and vice versa. Maybe New Orleans and Vegas are more walkable versus San Francisco. How does that play into kind of the party scene and how you're able to then go in and kind of leverage the ticketing market?
Yeah, no, every city is definitely different. Miami and Vegas are interesting because they're naturally nightlife cities, right?
Yeah.
So you have, an existing infrastructure that supports nightlife and clubs and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So all those activate, so you have that infrastructure already. San Francisco does have a big nightlife scene, but also because of the city backing really large scale events, and also they're happening to be property, right? Like a big warehouse where you can activate that. It's allowed the capacity to push up.
I guess, doing this for years now, how have you seen the overall fan experience evolve around the Super Bowl? I mean, we've touched on it in a little way differently with the parties and kind of but the spectacle of it all, what are you seeing there?
I mean, it's getting better and better.
Yeah.
Just being on, Radio Row here is like you can see that just the breadth of press that comes into town. There's activations all around town. And the Super Bowl is if not the central global event for all entertainment, tech, converging. And it's getting better and better from what I've seen.
Is there any other sports event that you've seen where you can kind of come in and do a similar thing, like that they're analogous to Super Bowl, whether it's an F1 race or, maybe the college football national championship, or is just the Super Bowl just too unique and stand alone?
Well, that's actually a good example. We ticketed all of F1 Montreal, the actual race last year, and we ticketed almost every single event around it. So it was a perfect convergence of our ability to do 100,000 person plus reserve seated complex sporting events, plus also being able to nightlife and really like high-end VIP in one. So that was a really exciting example similar to this.
To what scale are the revenues there? Is that like you come in and you're doing tens of millions of dollars? It's kind of more micro on an event basis, but how actually big are these events for you guys if we were to quantify them?
I mean, they're pretty big. I mean, you have parties that'll hit $4 or $5 million plus per party.
Yeah.
In terms of like revenue scale. And that's just kind of what I see, right? And then you have parties that are smaller in the $50,000, $100,000 revenue range too.
Yeah.
There's a range.
So what does the future of ticketing look like here? What is kind of the next frontier?
The next frontier is, we go by two tenets, fun and fair. We think our goal at least is to evolve ticketing to a point where it's something that people really enjoy doing. Like it's fun to get a ticket.
Yeah.
You can do a lot of things with it. It's flexible and you have a fair chance to get in. It's a very fan-centric experience that's also very efficient and easy to use for the producers of these large-scale events.
Yeah. What obstacles are kind of in the way from you guys growing at the rate you want to over the next few years?
I mean, the principal obstacle is, it is a legacy industry, right? With legacy companies that have been doing things the same way. So we're out there really educating people on the fact that, hey, we could do these things in a new modern way.
Yeah.
And you guys got to change your mindset and try new things. People tend to be quite conservative, especially on the team and event producer side. But we think that's changing pretty quickly here.
Robert Davari, thanks for being here with us today.
Thank you. Appreciate you having me. Yeah.